Welcome to In Your Neighborhood. I'm your host, Chris O'Rourke. As we continue our series, Conversations on COVID-19, we've talked about how this is affecting us personally, how we can deal with it. We've talked with healthcare providers. We've talked with businesses. We really haven't touched on our leisure time. And obviously, one of the biggest leisure time activities for our area is to head on over to Knoebels. And joining us right now is Stacy Ososkie from Knoebels Amusement Park. Stacy, how are you doing today?
Hi, Chris. I'm all right considering the circumstances. Thank you so much for having us.
I imagine, I know you're at the park right now.
I am, yes.
I imagine it is quite bizarre to be there at this time of the year without crowds.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically this time of year, we are officially in daily operation. So it's very bizarre to be here and not see families having fun and eating their favorite food and riding their favorite rides together. Typically this is a time of year that families are definitely picking up on their yearly traditions of visiting the park and making memories with us. So it's certainly strange, to not have people in the park today.
Are the campgrounds open?
So our Lake Glory campground, which is our sister campground, is a little less than 5 miles down the road, and that thankfully opened this past Friday. So we had our first campers of the season this past Friday at Lake Glory, and it was absolutely wonderful to see the families rolling in their campers, ready to make memories, though it wasn't a typical scenario. Our park campground, which is attached to the amusement park, is scheduled to open on June 11th.
So you would have been open for the season on April 25th.
Correct.
And then for every day of the week, then from then on, just this past weekend for Memorial Day weekend, correct?
That is correct, with the exception of some scheduled school picnics during the week between April 25th and Memorial Day. We typically go to daily operation right around Memorial Day weekend.
And what's typically during like even Memorial Day weekend, what's the attendance like at the park? If you
It's
have
tough
those
to
figures?
say. Yeah, it's tough to say for a couple of reasons. One of those being, as we know here, that weather is a very, very big factor in park attendance. So it really varies, and typically a holiday weekend, we don't have quite as many people in our pavilion areas because families are usually doing their backyard barbecues. But it's usually a nice weekend for day trippers to come and visit us. It's definitely typically a popular weekend in both of our campgrounds. It's almost the unofficial start of summer.
So what was the reaction back in March, or I don't know if you found out even earlier than that, back in March when things started to shut down? What was the reaction at the park, and did they realize the implications right away for the park?
I don't think it was initially known right away, but of course we followed all the guidelines as we were supposed to. So our team members, our full-time team members who typically are putting the final touches on park prep at that time of year, pretty much were told to clean up their work area. And you could see things around the park like ladders just sitting at job sites, and it kind of just looked like the area was deserted, which is very uncommon this time of year.
So how far along were you in the process of getting ready for April 25th?
So I would say we're about 4 weeks away from having the park ready. The challenge that we're facing right now is that we haven't brought back all of our team members just yet because we're not sure of a time frame of when we'll actually be able to open. The Secretary of Health, Dr. Levine, had stated that reopening would be during a green phase in Pennsylvania. But we're still just not sure when that's going to happen for us. So, we certainly don't want to bring back our entire team to prepare the park when we're just not certain at this point when that opening date might be.
So had you already had your job fair?
We had 2 job fairs planned, none of which had happened. So this situation has definitely caused us to become a little more creative a little sooner than we thought we would have to with a virtual type job fair. So we have been doing virtual hiring events. So someone can apply online at knoebels.com/jobs. And then we schedule a virtual interview via Skype, FaceTime, or Google Duo, and we conduct the interview that way now, and then mail new hire paperwork. Similarly, we were able to squeeze in one rehire meeting for our returning team members. That several team members attended that event, so that was a nice jump start on the rehire event. But we also went on to create a virtual rehire meeting based on a video of the initial rehire meeting that then is followed up with an assessment of understanding of the rehire materials, and also the opportunity to send them the rehire paperwork virtually. So it's definitely a different situation than what we're used to with hiring for this year, but it's definitely not at a standstill.
How many part-time employees do you hire for the job fair, through the job fairs?
Sure. So it's typically around, we have usually around, I want to say about 600, maybe a little more rehires. Total team members throughout in a season, and these are team members that maybe start a little later in the year. Some of them start at the beginning of the year. During our an entire season, we have roughly 2,100 seasonal team members on our team in any given year, and that's a combination of rehires and new hires.
So how many people, so that's the part-time, how many people are helping get the park ready? Are they included in that 2,100?
No, we have about 160 full-time team members that work here year-round, and that includes some of our sister facilities too. So we were lucky to have our lumber yard and our nickel plate bar and grill be able to remain open throughout the red phase, even providing essential services from our lumber yard and our takeout from our year-round bar and grill. And in addition to that, we do have the golf course at Knoebels Three Ponds Golf Course, which luckily was also able to reopen on March 8th to provide recreation for our community, beautiful outdoor recreation. It's a lovely, peaceful place. So, we do have team members included in that 160 at various other facilities as well.
So has there been anything going on at the park since you officially closed? Are you tackling projects that you would have not normally had time to do?
Yeah, so we welcomed team members back, some team members back a few weeks ago, and we're mainly finishing projects that we know that, regardless of an opening date, that they have to get done at some point. So, for example, we have a new restroom facility that we're building out in our pavilion area that we've resumed construction on. Same with a brand new pavilion out in our pavilion and group picnic area that we've resumed construction on that, as well as some other projects throughout the park that, like I said, regardless of an opening date, those projects do have to, to have to be completed at some point anyway.
New rides this year.
Yes, yes. So we always try to provide something new for our guests. And this year we are hoping to bring in a brand new ride called Tornado. And that ride can fit 32 passengers, and each of the cars could fit 4 people facing inward. The coolest part about the ride that people are going to absolutely love, at least people who love spinning will love this aspect. The ride itself spins in a circle, and then in the individual cars that you're sitting in, you can choose your own thrill level and spin the disc in the middle. So in addition to the ride going around in a circle, your cars, you can actually spin in the center of the ride.
Oh my gosh, I'm getting dizzy just thinking about it.
Yes, it's definitely going to be a thrill. Yes.
Where is that going to be located in the park?
Sure. So our Stratosphere drop tower ride, which is another really thrilling ride, it takes you 140 feet in the air, and it's a free fall drop to the bottom. It'll be out in that area. It's one of the tallest rides in the park, and so it gives a beautiful view. And right next to that ride is where we're hoping to place Tornado.
So you mentioned earlier about the green phase. You are unique in that you straddle two counties.
We do, yes.
Columbia has lagged a little bit behind Northumberland as far as stages. I mean, Columbia is now yellow too. But would you have to wait until both are green, Northumberland and Columbia, before you could open? And do you know, is that when you could open?
We're not 100% positive how that situation is going to work out at this point. Our business physical address is in Northumberland County. We are an Elysburg address, but the creek actually separates the park into the two counties, with about half of our attractions and rides being in one county and the other half being in the other. So it's really tough to say. We're unsure of that situation at this time, but we'll certainly. We're certainly working on figuring out a solution to that situation.
Do you know, once you are given the word or once you determine that you can open, how fast could you reopen?
It will likely take us about 4 weeks to finish the park, but once we start to get an indication that Northumberland County will be entering the green phase, then we will certainly start planning accordingly. And we think we're about 4 weeks away from being able to open the park.
Do you know yet under what conditions you'll open? Are people going to need to wear masks? Are there going to be stations for hand sanitizers all over the park?
So it's tough to say exactly what's going to be required at this point, but we have a team in place who are working on plans, considering for every situation. The most extreme restrictions, we'll have that covered, and certainly we'll work from that point. What we do know for certain, regardless of what's required of us, we have roughly 150 hand sanitizing stations that we have purchased that'll be placed throughout the park. We have team member training that is going to be department specific, and as well as cleaning and safety practices that are going to be company wide. We take pride in having a very clean park to start, so we already have very rigorous cleaning activities that take place every day and multiple times per day. So we certainly are looking into stepping up those cleaning routines. And really the important thing I think to remember about an amusement park is that we are a business that is deeply rooted in safety to start. So, whether it's the food service department that we know that it is their number one priority to provide safe meals, or our ride operations department that even before our guests can have fun on a ride, we need to make sure they're safe. We are a business that is deeply rooted in safety, and we do believe that we can certainly accommodate any sort of guidelines that would be put in place to keep our guests and our team, which is also very important to us to keep our team safe. We believe that we will be able to accommodate whatever guidelines are required of us.
I think I saw a headline over the weekend that said that Hershey Park and possibly even you guys might consider appointments. I don't know, you're talking about guidelines, they'll obviously come from the state. I don't know if there's also a consideration to limiting the number of people who are in the park at any given time and how you would potentially do that.
Right. So we are very well aware of our census and our campgrounds at any given time, as well as a number of staff that we would have on property. And though we are an open gate amusement park, we certainly are discussing several ways to make that happen, should that be necessary. But really, when you're thinking about the amusement park environment here, we are a very open space. We encompass a large area. So on a typical day, even some of our busiest days, it really is easy to be spaced out in our amusement park. Very rarely do you see people shoulder to shoulder, and when you do, they're typically family units. We have families that visit the park, and it's a little bit of a different environment, when you really stop to think about it. We're an open air environment that encompasses a large space. So yes, we are discussing the options that we would have even in this unique environment with being an open gate park, but we definitely haven't given up hope that if that's a requirement that we just won't be able to make it happen, we're confident we will.
Okay, so you've had floods before that have closed down the parks for a couple days at a time, 72. I can't remember how long in 72 you guys were shut down for. But is there historical precedent for a closing of this length before at the park?
So as you mentioned, the flood situation that creeps up on us every so often is definitely something that we've dealt with, and we've been able to reopen very quickly thanks to our team. We did have a situation back during World War II that the park did not open during that entire season because of the war. So that is the only time in our company's history that we haven't been able to open and provide those memories and that that outlet. We're a place of happiness. Families come here to enjoy time together, to set their worries aside. And we're certainly hopeful that this won't be the second instance that we have to close for an entire season. We know we've heard from so many of our guests that they're just looking forward to being able to spend time together here. This is their happy place, they tell us. So we certainly are hoping that this won't be a repeat of a season-long closure, and we're staying up to date on all the information as it becomes available. And definitely our team that we have assembled here are attending webinars and learning everything that we can every single day on how we can provide a safe environment for our guests and our team.
Okay, Stacy, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit.
Sure.
We've been asking the people we've interviewed at the end, how are you dealing with this whole situation personally?
Sure. So what I keep describing to people is that it's a beautiful thing that we're so grateful here, and I'm so grateful that the people that I know that I have in my life have their health right now. It's a beautiful thing to be able to wake up and know that we have our health. However, the way that I describe it personally is that I'm experiencing a little bit of a brokenheartedness right now with the park not being open, and the way that other people's lives have been affected by this. So it's definitely bizarre for someone who works in an amusement park like I do. We're not used to this. We're used to a very different environment. We're not used to experiencing a spring and summer season like this. So it's just a little bit of a new way of life, and certainly have a lot of hope and belief that we are going to come through this, and that we can get back to our normal way of life sometime soon.
Okay, Stacy Ososkie from Knoebels, thank you very much for your time, and hopefully we'll be able to enjoy that new ride very soon.
I hope so too. We'll do everything we can to make sure that happens as soon as safely possible.
Okay, thanks for your time today.
Thank you, Chris.
And we'll be right back.